Welcome back to Edge of Intelligence, where we explore how AI, automation, and strategy intersect to power real world transformation. I'm Carl Owen, your host and a fractional CIO and AI advisor at Pertelligent. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Zulfiya Forsythe, founder and CEO of Omadli Group, a Boston based woman owned consulting firm focused on turning business complexity into clarity through data, AI, and automation. From building intelligent agents like Vicky Voice, the AI receptionist, to FarmOn, which streamlines compliance research, Sophia and her team are showing businesses how AI can move from buzzwords to real operational value. Sophia, welcome.
Thank you so
It's
much.
great to have you.
Thank you so much, Carl, for having me here.
To start us off, can you share what first inspired you to build Omadli Group and step into the world of AI and business
Sure,
intelligence?
absolutely. So by trade, I'm an accountant. So I went to accounting school and I was working for a property management company, senior care property management company as an accountant. And I just realized that as I was working through, there's a lot of just accountants, we have month-end process, reconciliation process, which is pretty repetitive. And I just started digging into like, oh, how can I automate this? How can I automate my bank rec, my expense distribution that I have to do every month? And I almost felt like I was a janitor of books because every month I'm doing the same thing. And then I got into basically into Visual Basic Studio, the macros basically, and I just loved it that you can go through your steps, record them, and now they just if you set up your templates in proper way, and just for me it was like, wow, this is incredible. In early days, actually, when I look back, we used Yardi at that time. So I would just literally would take these reports and we'll start like mapping them out where the data was coming from, where like, as an accountant, where GL codes are compiled into this financial statement, like, or in this accounting group or this expense group or revenue group. And then when I remember when somebody who was in BI looked at this, like, they basically, yeah, you need to be in other world, like you are basically doing metadata. That's what you're doing, you're mapping it out. But I had no idea. So then I had an incredible opportunity to move into BI department. My CFO was amazing into my transition and actually propelled that transition. So I'm incredibly grateful. And then from that on, I was learning my SQL. It's interesting. At that time, we had forums, YouTubes. There's no AI. There's no ChatGPT study mode, or there's no, for example, where you can do Google Live, where you can share your screen and now you have like on-demand tutor to kind of explain you what foreign keys are, what primary keys are for somebody who is zero, who's an accountant, who has no idea basically. And I remember I would just sit in buses and trains and learn about all the joins, left join and right, that world, and I'll try to like, what is this? But I was just fascinated by ability that you can query. And now everybody can query. You don't even need to know like, SQL, basically the query language anymore. You just, there you go. You speak it. You speak in plain English and now you query so many things. So it's interesting.
Yes. Well, Amadli's mission of transforming complexity into clarity really stands out. Let's dig into a little bit about how that translates for your clients. I mean, Amadli positions itself as helping businesses cut through complexity. What does that mean in practice for your clients?
Absolutely. So when I talk to my clients, we do this AI audit part where we look at all of their workflows and we realize that they have so many. First of all, they use a lot of tools, a lot of systems, and then a lot of them are siloed, or they will have multiple reports on the back end or processes that they spin off, but they still kind of stuck doing them manually. They're not talking to each other, and it's taking so much time from their teams, frustration, and also they have no visibility now on their financial performance or on the operations and sales and marketing, for example.
Yep. Yep. I always go in and do that assessment first because a lot of people want to jump straight to a solution, sometimes looking for a solution without having a problem or knowing what the problem is that they need to solve.
Yeah.
So that's always
And
the
that's actually was interesting. That's how the whole Vicky came out. I was not designing voice AI agents, for example, that I knew, oh my gosh, I'm going to go and do Vicky voice AI agent. I'm going to make sure that every call from the service business that are getting picked up, routed, and then streamlined, it all came through this AI audit. Just looking what's happening. Hey, my revenue is not there. I'm trying to make more money, but I thought we have processes and I thought we have people picking up the calls, but our leads are low, we're not converting them fast. Our crew that's waiting for jobs are sitting around because there's nothing that's coming in. So there's all this bottleneck that I'm spending
Right.
marketing money, but it's not working. And what do I do?
Hmm.
Basically, at the end
Hmm.
of the day, there's no fulfillment on the other side. And that's how
Right.
Vicky came through, because I just started helping one client and I was like, oh, you know what? Would be a good idea if you had Vicky here and they would pick up the calls. They would make sure that these calls are in your system, in your CRM, there's a follow-ups. And we started looking, where does it make sense for Vicky to be? Where at what process, at what role makes sense for Vicky to pick up versus the humans picking up?
Well, to that point, you've built industry-specific AI agents
Yeah.
like Vicky, Bid, and FarmOn. What problems do each of those solve most effectively?
Absolutely. So Vicky is for construction service. So we're talking about fire alarm systems that we are working on right now. And then we also plumbing companies. Well, it's going to get cooler here in Massachusetts. So we're going to have lots of issues with pipes bursting and all that. So they get the calls. And then HVAC right now will still kind of have our warmer, hotter seasons. So the trades, essentially, they get a lot of calls. And if they don't pick up, the call gets to the next contractor that's picking up the call. So that's Vicky. Vicky is helping to get all the calls, all the admin that involved with that part. So the customers can get immediate responses and can also feel seen by the providers. FarmOn is really good at knowledge base. So we're also noticing that there's data everywhere. It's so silent, it's dispersed. So how can we have all your SOPs, all your training? For example, if we're talking about trades right now too, there's a huge demand because a lot of people hear about all this AI, right? You hear Mark Zuckerberg spending $1 billion on hiring a team. But there's a really good saying here that I came up with myself. It just says, if there's no concrete, there's no code. What happens now the data centers need to be built. You hear the $500 billion investment, right? Now, who does this data centers need? They need welders, they need HVAC guys, ventilation, right? The cooling of those servers. They need electricians, So we need all of the trades that right now there's just not enough of them out there, and where you have all of your best standard procedures. You can train your employees. So you can have a roadmap, for example, from someone that from apprenticeships, how can they go to the next level? What's the fastest way for them to get the information, to learn, and to be accessible in front of them when they need it? Instead of, oh, go read this file, go read this 20 pages, this 30 pages. How can we cut through? Because we all know now this is what AI helps query those documents. So you can provide training, safety to make sure that, hey, do you have safety regulations? So if some of your crews kind of get, for example, damaged or they might be prone, all of these guidelines that you want to provide, instead of now typing it all in, like you can aggregate all of that, provide that through chatbot. And now they can quickly, hey, what is my safety regulations for this type of job? Give it to me. And now we can just be right there in front of you. So this is where we're going. And obviously the FarmOn is a knowledge base agent where now as we're training it on construction and engineering, this is where they can get their hands on, because it's not just 10 files. We're talking about 1,000 files that they have compiled. And
Mm-hmm.
for us humans to go through them, it will take a lot of time.
Absolutely. Well, your firm works across industries like real estate, e-commerce, and healthcare. What are some of the common challenges that you see clients struggling with before they call you?
That's a good point, Carl. So what I actually started doing, I started niching out in construction space, just because I realized that I don't want to get niche slapped, like Alex Formosi says, and I really want to become the expert in the construction space, in the trade space. That way I can know how can I serve my clientele better by knowing all their pain points and having solutions ready for them. So they're like, oh my God, everything is falling apart, or this is really not working. Well, who do I go to that knows my pain? I have a shortcut instead of trying 15 things that essentially might not work. So I'm trying to focus on construction space. And again, we can also talk about construction, the trades, right? Which is also HVAC, plumbing, electrician, fire alarm. So they still different, but they have commonality between them. If they are a servicing clients, they're getting a lot of calls. If they service type of business, that's a common issue with all of them. And then what I also see, inefficient processes, because at the same time, it's like as AI evolving so fast, there's adoption rate and the knowledge gap is really high. Really, like there's new tool every week. Which one do I use?
Exactly.
And that's just common issue. And then also I see that reporting is a big one too. A lot of them are stuck still in manual Excel spreadsheets from the systems, and they just download it and see how many jobs they have. They don't have like a tracking system that they can see, okay, where are all my jobs that for example, for my property management system, how much revenue are they bringing? What is my marketing efforts? Are they efficient or not? What is my financial system? What is my financial money? Where are we at the money side? Instead of just downloading those Excels, but having it maybe a dashboard that will pull out that information for them. So siloed systems, inefficient reporting, and processes as well that involve to produce that reporting. And then another one pretty good is submittals. So not having historical database of submittals. So this is where FarmOn is really good because it can accumulate all the submittals. And now instead of them digging through the CRM system and finding out, okay, well, what type of a client for this type of a project, for this type of a landscape of a project, like what kind of materials or supplies or equipment did we order, for example, in what capacity? If we're talking about plumbers, for example, like how many of them, what capacity, what size, kind of like all of these details that are important. It avoids a rework and avoids the delay on the project completion.
Well, Omadli is women-owned and founded on values like excellence, service, and integrity. Can you tell us how those values show up in your projects and partnerships?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, I really like Jeff Bezos. When I read his book, there was 10 principles. It was very short. I don't remember exact name of the book, but number one principle was customer obsessed. I say that to myself and I say that to my team. We want to see our customers win. We want to do really good product that makes their life easier. The whole point why I started the whole company is to make it better. And I understand that, and I want to kind of be transparent on AI side. It's all iterative process. As business evolves, right? We always look at our standard operating procedures, nothing set in stone, but there's still an improvement, like 1% better every day. So with our AI, even like how can we, as we onboard it, right now, this is a scope that it can do, but it's 1.0 version of Vicky. Now 2.0 version could come. Same thing with FarmOn. What else can it do? What else can it help? Like how can it improve as we hear more and more of where demand is, what the pain points are, we evolve with our clients as well. So my biggest point is but listening to those pain points, providing the feedback, providing the customer service, excellent customer service.
Excellent. Well, AI is exciting. I mean, that's why we both got into it in the first place,
Yeah.
right? But one of the things that I find is readiness really determines the success or failure of the project. So let's dig into a little bit about how you help businesses get from curiosity to capability. So when a client approaches you, you ask, how do you assess whether they're truly ready for that or not?
This is such a good question. I think before I was doing kind of project-based, but now this year with AI, this year I'm kind of doing the AI audit, and that helped a lot because it also helped to set the frame of the conversation and really do the AI audit where even the customers are not just, oh, it's nice to have, but it's must to have. I call it a hair on fire moment because yeah. Because here's what media shows. Media shows, hey, pay $20 a month and get your solution. Hey, well, it'll cost, but in reality, once that is integrated within your system, it's not a $20 project. It will not work. You want to make sure that you show up the best to your customers, for example, in Vicky and the voice agent, making sure that the voice agent is performing well, providing valuable information that has the customer service feel to it. So when people talking to it, it's not giving the wrong information about your quotes, about your location and services, and not misguiding your people. So you need to make sure there's an audit log, there is a review process that's going with it. So it's not just, and I think the media just shows it. And then when people think, oh, it's just kind of like be easy a solution for me. But when the audit shows, well, how committed you are to onboard this, because on your end, it means tightening up your SOPs, looking at your SOPs, making sure that there's a training once this is onboarded for your team members, making sure adoption's there, because if you're just getting it and nobody is using it, then it's just sitting on a shelf basically. But that's where the audit, it shows the involvement from everyone's side, because it requires their time to show their processes, to see the inefficiencies in their processes, and to be able to make changes, and also make the AI not on a fictional, oh, it would be nice to have thing that we've never tried before, meaning the new process that's never been tested. Let's start at something that's been done right now, manual, that's proven, that's a pain point, that is just inefficient. Let's go with that instead of some hypothetical thing.
Well, readiness is one thing, but as you interject AI into a business, now you're talking other things like security and compliance, which become
Yeah.
even more important. So, how do you guide companies through the balance of experimenting with AI while still protecting sensitive data and compliance requirements?
100%. And that's what I say, like, is they actually do AI webinars every Thursdays as well to educate business owners on this. So what I say there, when you trying it out, what platforms are you using, what personal information you are showing, what kind of information giving access to, where is it being hosted, do you know where is it being hosted? For example, is it being hosted on your private cloud or on a cloud for the tool that you're using? For example, do you have the server set up on your end where all the data processing could be staying? That way you have access and visibility. I think those are things that are important to consider.
Well, what metrics or success criteria do you use to evaluate where an AI agent or automation has delivered ROI?
A good question. So on FarmOn, for example, as you can see right now, ChatGPT, you can ask questions and sometimes it will hallucinate, right? The models get improved day by day. So I want to always be transparent and tell the clients it's impossible to expect 100% of an accurate answer because it's a similarity search that the statistical model is doing on a back end, basically. It's just finding the next similar answer to the prompt that you're asking. The better these models come, the closer the proximity would come for the right answer. So I would say if you are on 90 to 95% on accuracy, depending on what solution, what are you trying to AI to perform, I think it's a good answer.
Can you share a story with us about a client who started small, perhaps with maybe, an AI agent and then scaled up once they saw the results?
Sure. I have a couple of those stories. I have one company that's in transportation right now, and the way the process was, everybody gets calls, meaning if somebody's calling main number, everybody's phone is ringing to make sure that somebody picks up. And because the main number will get forward to everybody. And then they have a Slack channel that they also have a communication from the customers come from the app as well. So they have like multiple phones, text messages. Their customers will text them. Their customers would write a message on the app. So they have like these three ways of getting incoming calls from their new customer, from potential customers. So as we started doing that with them, it started with the audit to figure out all the other issues they have. And then we started with just that one thing. And then first, every time somebody calls the main line, everybody gets a call. How do we fix that? So we started looking at that process. Then I have to change the schedule now in QuickBooks. And basically, there's workforce QuickBooks. How do I make sure I get notifications so I don't have to manually send people in Slack? All right, let's automate that. So then the agent went from everybody getting a call, the agent listens to the person specifically asking you, please, I want to talk to Carl, for example. Now I have the knowledge base in the back end, and then gets forwarded to Carl. And also, agent is listening to what the person on the line is saying, and now transcribing all of that and pushing notification to Slack for everybody. So then once that person sees the Slack notification, they go update the workforce in their QuickBooks. And now that notification is also sent to the person that schedule changed to based on the driver, for example, and also to the main group. So then if there's a message coming from the app, same thing, somebody message the AI agents picking that up, sending a Slack notification to the person and also to the driver. So to the whole group and also to the driver that the route has been changed, for example. So it went from them panicking and answering all the calls, looking at all the apps. Just imagine the amount of time they spent on communication and passing the information from this to another person. That's what it is. And it's
Right.
so inefficient. So now we're looking into what's next. Well, how can we now check drivers' expiration dates? So licenses, when we get the intake information from the drivers, how do we make sure that we stay on top of, instead of somebody has to remember that we have to update drivers, somebody has to keep track of expiration date on their licenses. Little things, chipping away.
Yeah. Well, you already talked about this a little bit, but AI isn't just about technology, right? It's about re-engineering processes that are out there.
Yeah.
So let's take a deeper dive into that for a second. Across the industries that you serve, what are the most frequent bottlenecks or inefficiencies that you're encountering?
I think the communication, just anything that comes with communication, redundant communication across many platforms. And I see it for everybody. Project management, right? If managing people, managing communication. Oh, I didn't know this was that the client said. Oh, I didn't know I missed the deadline. Oh, I didn't know it was urgent. Oh, the ticket was not entered on time. Now their urgent call that came through restoration company, for example, if there was a flood, right? Or something was not attended to right technician. So all of these little things, communication is massive, that cause large ripple effects. Now the project is delayed, money is lost, people getting frustrated, right? They have to manage it. So just all of that, I would say communication, siloed systems. And the same thing, actually, communication goes to the FarmOn with the knowledge base. I didn't know that this is our OSHA compliance. I didn't read it. I missed it. Or I could not find it on our SharePoint, or I could not find it in our Google Docs. Oh, it was an old document that I read. Oh, I read the wrong section of it. Or submittals, right? Historical data. Oh, I looked up a wrong project and the wrong equipment has been ordered. I did not need this water heater, for example. Just money, piles of these little things that could have all been avoided.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in your analytics and dashboarding work, what are some of the adoption challenges that you see your clients facing once the tools are built?
Absolutely. So, as we focus on our construction side, my biggest challenge sometimes is having systems that do not provide backend access. That means I cannot pull the information and I cannot help them. It happens. It's not often, but it happens.
Mhm.
And I think the biggest thing for them is to see how does it. That's why I do sometimes interactive workshops, or I have it content so they actually can like touch and feel things and play around with that on their own. Otherwise, it's really hard for them to see it. How does it really look? So touch and feel things. Also, I would say with dashboard is, I think it's mindset as well. Like, oh, we have Excels. Well, I don't see how this is helping me because I have this process and it's working. But then once they get one, and here's what happened with every client that I've got, just build this one report. I built one report 2.5 years later. I'm rebuilding the entire of Yardi, for example, as my background in heavy in Yardi, which is property management, construction used for the system. Same thing. A client comes in, hey, with this, we have this property management report that is 17 tab Excel files. We just need to automate that. 2.5 years later, I rebuilt the entire business intelligence, and now they've got their RUBs, they got their delinquency report, they got their asset management, property management across all of their portfolios. And I'm supporting their asset management group, their CFO, their financial, their accounting, their property management, because they're like, this is amazing. Why would I ever spend time on Excel? Say if I have it from investors or from our that I have to report to, I have to now spend time and redo it each time. But I have it
Mhm.
once, and I just have to make sure that I provide analytics. When somebody's asking me, "Hey, why is the occupancies down? What happened?" I don't have to go in a million things. I can actually look at the track record. I can see what happens and spin off AI on top of it. Now it tells you, oh, because you have these tenants that are ended, for example, they lease and lease have not been renewed on this many tenants.
You talked about this a little bit earlier, and I see this with my clients as well. You're going in there, access to the data or access to the back end data, like you just mentioned. One of the things I see is that their data just isn't ready. There's a lot of cleanup that needs to be done before you can actually even begin to leverage that data. Are you seeing that? And when you do, how do you handle that?
100%. So it depends, right? For data handling, we work with designated parties. We work with people that are stake owners. They have ownership on this process. And this is the beautiful part about BI. We uncover things that they have not even know that there's a problem in, because sometimes the UI and backend don't match. For example, if the software did not push the updated version to the user experience, rates were not updated, but on a backend, the backend updated the rates, but it never pushed the UI. But our customers are not using backend, they're not developers, they're using a front end to go into their portal and look up what are the rates for these type of services. So on a developers on the back end updated the rates, so they have new rates, but on a front end, people were using legacy rates. And that issue came through BI when I started putting together the reporting for them, and we started QAing. These two things don't align. Why do I have different totals on my service totals versus the rates that that are coming from the back end? And those two need to be talking. So this is where we kept the legacy rates. We didn't update the new rates.
Well, my clients, and you probably experienced this too, they kind of approach AI as looking at just kind of one-off tools, right? And I think the value really comes when you can tie those AI initiatives to the broader business strategy. So, how do you help leaders connect AI initiatives to their broader business strategy and not just focus on one off tools?
I think that AI audit helps a lot with identifying what are we trying to really achieve, what are their current stack, technological stack looks like, what are their constraints looking like from time and investment into these, and also how important this is for them and budget wise as well.
Yep, makes sense. Always tie it to money. That gets the attention.
Yes, absolutely. How critical is this implementation for you? If you had this implementation, how different your life would look like or the life of your business? What would you go and spend your time on? And this is actually very interesting, Carl. So for the AI world, it's wild, right? What's going to happen? So far, since last year, the adoption rate on executives on AI went up to almost like 80+% comparative to last year, just because people were a little bit more cautious about this on the security side. Right now, they just, let's go. However, what I'm seeing also, as AI gets adopted more and more, it becomes this filter that sits on our emails, voices. Like I'm talking, Google's going to come up with their own voice agents for consumers, meaning if my pipe bursts, I'm not calling myself anymore. Right now, browsers already are not just done by humans. AI is browsing through ChatGPT agent, Comet, through Perplexity, for example, right? So now it's going to be agents talking to agents. So if we are not investing our free time into building relationship, meaning you, Carl, right now, even over the Zoom, but now I know you, uh,
Mhm.
it would be really hard to expand your business because you're going to have all these AI bureaucrats that are going to sit at every level of a transaction. But then you would know, oh, if I get an email from Carl, I know Carl, I'm going to respond to you because I met you. But if I just try to reach out to somebody, well, that email will get filtered by AI. It will be in some
Right,
type of inbox that you might never see even.
right. Absolutely.
So this is a one thing that is kind of freaky. It sounds like freaky because as we try to go and improve all of these processes and get efficient, right? We need to make sure that we spend right now, like you are doing this amazing thing, podcast, you're bringing people and sharing stories and bringing community and building relationships. I think that is what we need to, and that is what we human are designed to do. We cannot be on our own. We're designed to build communities, to relate, to help each other, to support each other. So we need to do more of that. This is where our time should go.
Mhm. I agree with that 100%. You mentioned a second ago that the adoption rate for executives is increasing and is upwards of 80% or more at this point. I see that too, but I also see that at the lower levels in the organization, it's not so much, right?
Yeah.
Because now we have the fear that we're going to lose my job, all these other things, when in reality, that's not the case. It's supposed to enhance and help you become more efficient and then focus on the things that you were probably hired to do in the first place. So, what's your approach when you see a client resisting change or struggling with the governance required to manage the new automation or AI effectively?
That's a good question. I actually had an interesting conversation this week with one client that's like trying to get SOPs right now from their team members and is trying to approach it in a way that is not um, triggering them or that is not putting all around, oh my God, you're learning all my processes, so you can take away my job. And trying to figure out what's the way of communicating it that you're still going to keep your job. We're just trying to help you out. So we will close our quality assurance process faster so we can bill clients faster even after the job is done. Because right now, as you know, construction technicians are done with their job, but it takes a while for invoice to be shipped out because they need to make sure that the job has been completed. They make sure that the invoice and the description of the job is accurate, especially when you're dealing with a high volume, making sure there's no items that have been left off that we have to go back to the technician on the field. Okay, can you provide more information? So that takes a lot of time on a billing side, on a billing team, for example. And this is where, as we trying to put AI into QA QC process, how do we make sure that we are not sounding alarming as we go talk to the billing team? It's like, hey, can you show me how do you review this invoice before it goes out to the client? What's the process? What's your reconciliation process of communicating back to the technician? How can we help to streamline this so the person doesn't feel like, oh my God, they're going to learn everything that I do right now and they will replace me?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
but I also want to say something that what I see current processes for that client was costing so much money, thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars lost because of spent on that communication and quarterly check process. that now even the billing team does not have a capacity to handle. But I still would say, Carl, that there would be jobs placed. Let's be honest. There will be jobs that are placed, and probably those jobs nobody wants to do. Nobody wants to do data entry job. Do you know, I'll tell you one story. I'll never forget the story. So I graduated from college and I was looking for a job. And I graduated during 2008. You know what happened in 2008? Terrible things happened, right? We didn't have jobs. 2009, I graduated in December 2008. So 2009, I was looking for jobs. And I would get my first job after 3 months of looking was in data entry. They will give me like contracts, like a small temp jobs. So there were maybe 10 people and so in Boston here. Recruiters walked us through this building. It was in some type of basement, literally had a brick wall right there, and there was a computer. I will never forget this, never in my life. I sat down and the job was, so you have one monitor and they opened two windows and I had to type in from one window data to another. I will never forget that. You know what I said? I was very desperate for money. I'm a college grad. I need money. Like, I need it. But I was like, God, I cannot do this job. I'm not a quitter, but I really wanted to get out and walk out the door because I cannot do this. And there was an 8-hour project. They said, you're just doing this for this week. And I'm like, for this week? I cannot even do this for an hour. How am I going to do this for an hour? Then you know what? I think God heard me. A couple of hours later, this project canceled. You guys could all go home. I was like, yes. Yes, I didn't make any money, but I was like, thank you. They paid us for the full day. This is awful. Just taking data entry from one screen to another. I was just scorching inside of me. But what I'm saying is, those jobs, let them go. Let them go. They don't make us better. They don't make us smarter. They don't make us better at what we do and enhance our life. That admin work, let it go. Let us do, because guess what? In 5 years, there was a job report for 2025, basically 2030, right? There was basically a job posted 11 million jobs will be created. I think 9 or 8 of them will be displaced, but there's still a gap. So there's a positive change there. All these agents, they need to be maintained by somebody. You need to maintain. So I'm honestly becoming like human resources of these AI agents, because I need to make sure that they are not hallucinating, making sure they provide accurate responses, making sure as these models get improved, I'm using the improved models and I'm making sure that I'm tracking the performance of it, making sure they represent the company's voice, policies, and the brand and the culture and everything. Like, all of that needs to be maintained by somebody. And then, as I mentioned, trades, right? They're going to be building that data infrastructure. Somebody needs to train them. Somebody needs to oversee them. Somebody needs to make sure perform that work, physical work. And here's the thing: robotics, yes, they are enhancing, but they only good at certain type of factories where
Right.
it's predetermined. You've seen it. Put them in a household. Oh my gosh, every house is different. Things are different. So it will take them
Yep.
a while to get there. Yes, they're like, for example, those glasses, Ray-Ban glasses or something with the Meta that you can get engine behind. And now if you're a plumber, for example, it can see things and can help you, but it still needs to be maintained by somebody. That engine needs to be tweaked by somebody. That engine needs to be prompt, right? The prompt needs to make sure it's
Right.
constantly giving you accurate responses, so you're not making mistakes by listening to it and giving you wrong information. So I'm going on a rant here. I can go forever, Carl.
That's all right.
But I'll give you one more thing. It was very interesting. I was trying to break ChatGPT the other day because I have a friend who's a mom, and she's like, she's a mom and she's stuck at home with kids, and she's like, I want to try to make some extra money, but I don't have time because I have the kids to take care of. I don't know what to do, and I want to be independent. I want to be dependent from my husband. Like, I just want to feel like I can do something for myself. And I'm like, ChatGPT, have you tried talking to it and see what, like, explain you information and basically see what kind of jobs or kind of occupations or tasks, or how can you make extra money? So, and I started doing that for her. I just opened ChatGPT and I said, my friend, blah, 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 what kind of jobs you can suggest to me. I kid you not, I tried to break it so many times. I tried to put a different prompt where act as an entrepreneur, act as someone that has limited time, that's seen it all, give me. Until I gave it specific thing to think about and specific way of achieving it, it would not know. And because it kept giving me the jobs that it gave me, VA, like virtual assistant or social media management, that you can help business owners to admin this.
Right.
Same answer, same. But then because I know what I know, because I'm surround myself with people from different occupations and passions and that create incredible businesses, and I know that there's a way to do wholesaling. You can call dilapidated houses, for example, a couple times a week, and then try to see if they can sell their homes to it. And then now you can resell it to the realtor. I only know that because I'm interested in real estate investing as I help all these my clients in construction. I only know that because I also listened to some podcasts before that and I have some friends. But if I don't know that information, I'm only getting that generic answer. And I gave it to my
Mhm.
friend. I was like, you've got 2 hours a day. Do you have it? Literally call your city, ask them for the property taxes that have not been paid on these houses. There's a name. For, I think, $5, you can get yellow pages or something of those phone calls, and you can just dial. And then you can resell that to the realtor that's looking for that deal. But I only know that because I have that knowledge. So what I'm saying
Mhm.
is the end goal is still invest in your education, learn things, invest into real estate investing, literacy, listen to the podcast, like this. Don't just rely everything to AI and have the mindset, well, what do I have to do if AI now is doing everything? A lot. Because if you're not investing in your own education, you don't know that there's opportunity to make money like this with the limited resources that you have.
That's right. Absolutely.
So
Well, you're already innovating with AI agents, but looking ahead, your growth vision seems to aim beyond consulting more towards scalable solutions. So, where do you see Omadli Group 5 years from now in terms of offerings, scale, or industry reach?
absolutely. I want to be the top expert in construction field by in 5 years. I want to help. Right now, I put crazy audacious goal to sell 300 Vickies right here in 90 days to help business owners. I want to be able to help business owners to make money, provide for themselves lucrative, abundant life for themselves and for their team members. Because at the end of the day, they start business because they're really good at that craft, at that trade, but also it becomes a life passion for them because they care about their clients. They care about people that they hire that work for them. And then at the end of the day, it becomes more than money. It becomes, how do I provide abundant life for myself, for my team members, and then for my clients? How do I make my clients win and everyone that involved in that process as well?
Right, absolutely. Well, are you envisioning building more vertical specific AI products or expanding existing agents like FarmOn and into SaaS platforms?
Yes. So I'm 100% looking into helping with construction service like restoration, oil rums, HVAC, plumbing. I want to see, maybe I'll go on restoration path. Maybe I'll go on a plumbing path. Where would that be? And just then kind of look at everything that's involved and tailor to that. So right now with the service businesses that I see, kind of Vicky can help all of them. And now that I'm integrated with one platform, with that one system, I can help as many because would be similar processes with all the other pains that they might have.
Well, what partnerships or ecosystems do you think are critical for scaling your
Oh, this is
solutions?
so good. This is such a good question. So this is what I'm doing right now, Carl. As I do Vicky right now for restoration companies or Vicky for fire alarm companies, and I actually have Vicky for cleaning companies because they got a lot of calls, right? Service calls. I'm looking at the providers, the systems that my clients use that have already, let's say, 100, 200, 300 restoration companies that using their system, or file RAMs that already have 50, 100, 200 that I can now be integrated within system and basically sell my Wiki to them. That's what I'm working on right now.
If you could bring in a strategic partner,
Yeah.
whether a fractional CIO, CAIO, or AI advisor, what priorities would you want them to help accelerate
Oh,
first?
100%. I would say the priorities would be making sure that agents are technically correct, meaning technical execution, meaning they provide accurate information, that, hey, if it fails, we have a procedure there, process. If it fails, because let's be honest, we make mistakes as humans every day. Systems sometimes break, right? So, what is our process? That's for every business. What is our SOP to make sure that this is oiled machine, it's working well, there's a security in place, there's a compliance in place as well. For example, very interesting one right now. So as I get into the marketing of Vicky and doing cold messaging, cold calling as well, I looked into what it looks like to do cold calling. So Vicky cold calls and it's robocalls. Is it permitted or not? For example, is it illegal or is it legal? Like, where's the line? Because basically call AI calling. It's calling into robocalls right now. And here's the thing. I get robocalls every day. I don't know. Do you get it, Carl, as well? And usually what's written there, you have to get a consent from a person before you call, but nobody's getting the consent.
Right.
Right. And I actually got AI call the other day from a solar company, and I knew it's AI right away because I was able to tell. But where's the gray line? Do you ask for forgiveness, or do you not do it? So it's an interesting part right now that I'm looking into.
Yeah. I get 20 of those a day. And quite frankly, 2 or 3 of them are solar companies.
Oh, okay. Who else is calling
Well,
you? What are other ones that are calling you?
good Lord, standby generator companies. So that's one. Solar is a big one.
Yeah. Solar, because they
Yeah.
have all this discount that they're telling people, oh, there's a discount, or there's a program that you want to apply to. So yeah, very
Yeah.
interesting. And here's the thing. I see them as nothing different than before. We got those cold calls before. It was just human calling,
Right.
maybe some call center calling, or before even was a robocall, like press this 1, 2, 3 if you're interested.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, for business leaders listening today who feel overwhelmed by AI hype, what's one small practical step they can take tomorrow to get started?
What's a small practical thing that they can I would say number one thing is look at your processes. Make sure that you have your standard operating procedures. It's such an underestimated value there. And then figure out one thing that you do on repetitive basis and try to tackle that. Try to tackle that where you have hair on fire, where you're okay investing your time and energy for improvement.
Great place to start.
Yeah.
Well, where can our listeners learn more about Omadli Group or connect with you directly?
Fantastic. You can find me at Zulfiya Forsythe on LinkedIn, on Instagram as well. And if I know you're coming from here, I would just love if you maybe write AI help, and I will send you the better AI library. I have this amazing Notion that I put together with all of the tips and tricks about AI tutorials that I would love to share with everybody.
Perfect. Well, Zulfiya, thank you for sharing your journey and insights. Omadli Group's work in blending business process, data, and AI showcases what's possible when clarity drives innovation.
Thank you.
Sure. For our audience, if today's conversation sparked ideas about how automation, analytics, or AI can accelerate your business, visit Protelligent.com to learn more. And if you're looking for strategic partnerships to help scale your AI or technology vision, you can connect with me on LinkedIn as well. Until next time, keep asking better questions, building smarter systems, and stay on the edge of intelligence. Thank you very much.